Hi everyone, and welcome to this session where we are going to learn PowerShell in a nutshell. That sounds interesting, right? In this session, we are going to cover the basics of PowerShell in such a way that after covering this series of videos, after watching this series of videos, you will be able to start using PowerShell independently. You can at least start running commands and start using PowerShell. So before we start, let me tell you, in this entire video series, it is going to focus on only four things which are essential for you to start using PowerShell. We are not going to get into the details of every single piece of information related to PowerShell, but we are going to focus the enough topics which are going to help you to start using PowerShell. So the first thing, whenever you start using anything new, like which is related to shell, let me give you my example. When I have started using computers in 1994, when I was in 8th class, that time I used to wonder what other commands I can run on the command prompt, because those days it was it, in computers there was no GUI, it was all CLI mode. On MS-DOS there used to be a prompt like this which used to keep blinking and it is waiting for some command. There is no window where you can just go and browse and try stuff. Unless you know the command, you cannot run any command. So when I was attending my computers class when I was in 8th class, that lab instructor used to give one single command for entire day. For example, he used to teach us dir and we all used to hit dir and keep changing the directories using cd and then keep browsing the file system, nothing else. So that time I used to wonder, tomorrow he is going to teach some new command. So that time the question that used to come to my mind was, where can I find the list of all such commands which are available for me to run? But I was not having any clue. The same thing happens with everyone when they start using PowerShell or any other shell based tool. The first thing that comes to your mind is, where can I find the list of all the commands that I can run here? And that is important, because unless you know the commands, what will you run? So in this session we are going to go step by step. In first step we are going to understand how to find commands. That will be the focus for this first video. In second video we are going to focus on, after you find a command, the second question that comes to your mind is, how do I use this command? Sometimes just giving the command name might not give you results. That command will require some input parameters. You need to specify the options how to run this command. So that second aspect will be covered in the second video, where we will try to understand the syntax of the command. For understanding the syntax of the command is get help. The get help command will help you understand the syntax, and there are a few examples. You can look at those examples, how that command is used, what parameters we can pass, what values we can pass to the parameters, things like that. So that will give you some idea how to start. Now we have found the command using get commandlet. Then we have found the help for using that command using get help. Now you understood how to find the command, how to run the command, and the third step is interpreting the output or manipulating the output. Once you run the command, it will give you some output, right? Now how do you manipulate that output to extract something that you want from it. For example, when you are running a command for getting the list of Windows services, by default it will show you the name, display name, and the status of those services, but there are certain properties or some other information which is available as output, but it is not by default displayed on screen, like the start mode, whether the service is set to automatic start, manual start, or it has been set to disabled. So how do you extract or dig out this information which is by default not shown on screen, or even in some cases out of multiple columns or out of lot of information which is shown as output from that command, if you want to filter out or if you want to exclude certain columns, if you want to focus on only few columns, not all the columns which are given as output. For example, when you give a command called get process, when you are running that command, it will give you around 7 or 8 columns of output, out of which you might not be interested in all the columns. You might be just interested in the process name, the CPU consumption, and the page memory or virtual memory consumption. So how do you filter out unwanted columns and select only those columns that you want? That for that you need to understand what all properties are available with that output, because by default it is not showing you all different columns or all different properties which are available as output of that command. It will show some columns, it will hide some columns. We will discuss how to manipulate the output, and for manipulating the output you need to understand the output. You need to find out what all things are available as output of the command. For that, the third important command of PowerShell is getMember. So in order to understand, there is one more thing which is the fourth topic, that is understanding the pipeline, which is the core, which is the essence of PowerShell, which makes PowerShell so powerful. So in the fourth video we are going to discuss about the pipeline, how pipeline works, how these multiple commands, what pipeline does in PowerShell. Pipeline allows you to connect multiple commands, and it allows you to manipulate the output which is coming from the command that you run, and by passing it to the next command in the pipeline, and so on. You can keep on passing that command as an object in the pipeline. In order to understand how this pipeline works, we will get into the details. There are different rules. We will get into the details of those rules, how these commands get connected in the pipeline. And when you see the pipeline, by giving the output of one command to the next command in the pipeline, you can do amazing things. You can easily export some data to different formats, or if you want, you can import data from different formats and use it in the pipeline. That makes PowerShell so powerful. So let's start with the first topic, that is finding commands in PowerShell. Now when I give this command get command, this command gives me the list of all the PowerShell commands which are available on my computer. But since on my computer there are so many modules which are installed related to Azure, Active Directory, Hyper-V, DNS, and lot of other things, you can see that there are so many commands which are available. But in your case, you might have lesser number of commands on your computer depending on which softwares or which tools you have installed. So let's find out how many commands are there. You can find it by piping the output of this command to measure object, and for measuring this you can use a property called name. So it will give you the count of commands, the number of commands which are available. So on my computer there are 5333 commands which are available, but on your computer, depending on which softwares you have, you might have lesser number of commands. So when you look at this big list, not all the commands that are shown here you're going to use, but what commands that you want depends on your requirements. So the good thing about PowerShell is, in PowerShell the commands are following a very standard naming convention. If you observe all these commands in the list, they are starting with a verb and separated by a hyphen or dash and followed by a noun, and this noun is always going to be a singular noun. Now whatever example you pick here, everything is starting with a verb and separated by a dash or hyphen, and it ends with a noun which is a singular noun. So what is the importance of this verb hyphen noun naming convention? It is very good because it makes your life easy. When you are into the PowerShell as a beginner, you can easily guess the commands. What does that mean? For example, I want a list of services which are installed on my computer. So what will be the verb for getting something? The verb will be get hyphen. Get. The verb will be get. As we know the naming convention, it will be followed by a hyphen. When you hit hyphen, there comes the IntelliSense, which is available as part of PowerShell ISE. ISE stands for Integrated Scripting Environment, which gives you a GUI interface or GUI way where there will be a lot of visual clues which will help you move further in running commands and using PowerShell. Now here we are trying to find a command which can give us a list of services. So as I said, the second part, that is the noun part of the command, will never be plural. It is always going to be a singular noun. So what are we looking for? We are looking for services, right? So we will say get hyphen service. Now hit enter. Since this command does not require any input parameter, or you don't need to specify any options, it will show you all the services which are running. But there are certain commands, like suppose I want to get details about some WMI object. So obviously with whatever knowledge we have gained so far, you can easily guess what command I need to run. Obviously get hyphen WMI object. So when you give this command get hyphen WMI object, it will help you to fetch details about some WMI object. But similar to the previous command, if I don't provide any values, here for getting the details about the WMI object, you need to specify the WMI class name, the name of the class for which you want the details. That is mandatory. But let us see what happens when you don't give any input. Simply hit enter and it will ask you whatever things are mandatory, whatever parameter values are mandatory, it will ask you to enter the value for that parameter. So if you are aware about WMI, you might be knowing the class names. Some frequently use class names. For example, when 32 underscore logical disk, which will give you details about the logical drives on your computer. See, so here after I provide the required input for this parameter, which is the class parameter, it is showing me the output. It is showing me the free space, size, volume information, device ID and all those things. So ideally I should have given it like this, get WMI object hyphen class win32 underscore logical disk. It will give me the same output, but this time it won't ask for the input because I have already provided the input as a parameter and its value. Now let's try to understand the anatomy of this command. In PowerShell, the good thing is with PowerShell ISE, you can see the color coding difference. The command name will always appear in white color, and after command name, anything that starts with a hyphen, that is the parameter name, and parameter names will be followed by the value for that parameter. So this is one command which is accepting one parameter with its value. Similarly, you can pass more parameters if required. For example, if you want to fetch these details from a remote computer, you can give the computer name by using hyphen computer name. So for now, since I'm not connected to network where there are multiple computers available, I will go with localhost, assuming that this is a remote computer. So in this case, I am using this command with two parameters. Parameter name class with its value, and the second parameter computer name and its value. And if you notice, parameter names appear in light yellow color and values appear in this light magenta, or you can call it light pink. Since the remote computer which I have specified here is the same computer, it is giving me the same results. But if you understand the color coding, whenever you give a parameter name, it automatically turns into light yellow color and its value will be shown in a different color. And in some cases, you might have to give the value in double quotes or single quotes. So we will find out later what is the significance of double quotes and single quotes, what is the difference, that we will see later. But for now, for example, I want to filter based on the device ID. Suppose I want only those results where drive type is equal to 3. So I will say drive type is equal to 3. Now if you see, when I started this double quote, till I don't close that quote, I see this red squiggly line, and it indicates that there is something wrong with this command. And if you look at the tooltip, it says what is wrong. The string is missing the terminator, that is a closing quote. So when I close this, that red squiggly will go away. And this happens even when you have any other compilation error or any other syntax error with the command. For example, if you start with a parenthesis and if you forget to close that parenthesis, this red squiggly will show you that you are missing that closing parenthesis. Okay, that's when this is the example where we guess the command. Now, apart from guessing the commands, for example, let's take one more example where I want to find a command which can show me list of all the processes which are running on this computer. So now easily you can guess get hyphen process, not processes. Now since this command does not require any input, you can run this command without input also. It will give you the list of all the processes which are running on this computer. So here if you see, it is showing you all these details. These columns are various properties which are available as output of this command, and it is showing you the list of all the processes and their corresponding properties like CPU, working set, page memory, non-page memory, handles, ID, all those details. Okay, now it's time to, let's stop guessing. Let's try to find commands based on our requirements. For example, you want to find a command which is available for managing Active Directory users. Now, for managing Active Directory users, there are multiple different types of tasks. First thing is, before you start trying these commands on your computer, you need to have remote server administration tools installed on your computer, because only when you have RSAT tools installed on your computer, you can have this Active Directory related commandlets available on your computer. Otherwise, on normal computers or laptops, you won't find these commandlets available. So now, since I have RSAT tools available on my computer, I can find those commands which are available for managing Active Directory users on my computer. But since I'm assuming that I'm new to PowerShell, I don't know what is the command available for managing users. Let's try to find out how can you find commands by using some wildcard searches. Like we Google, you don't need to Google for anything related to PowerShell. All the things which you want for using PowerShell, everything is available within PowerShell. So you don't need to go to Google for finding commands related to managing users. I will show you how to find the commands. The command is same, get command. Now with this get command, you can search for commands, and there are two different ways using which you can search. First is, you can specify the name. You can search using the name of the command, and while searching for the name of a command, you can use the wildcard characters, where star represents any character with any length. Star means it will be replaced with any number of characters and followed by the keywords that you want or the keywords that you're searching for. So currently we are searching for the commandlets for managing users. So I will say user, and it is not necessary that command will end with user. It might start with anything, but it might not end with anything. But user keyword will be present anywhere within the name of the commandlet. So I will end it with star. But when you look at the results, there are so many results, and again there are, if you look at the output, it will show you the command type, whether it is a function, commandlet, or external command, which are usually called as applications. It will show you the name of the command, version, and source. Now this source is something which can help us filter unwanted results from this list. Now if you look at the source, there are so many different sources from where these commands are coming, like server manager, remote desktop, remote access. Let's see if there is something which we want. We are looking for the commandlets related to Active Directory. So how do you specify this source? Let's find out. Here you can say hyphen module as Active Directory, because this source column is showing you the module names in most of the cases, not for this external application commands, but for these commands it is mostly showing you the modules to which that command belongs. So in this case, if I want to filter down unwanted results, I can specify the module. Here we go. Now you see which all commands are available for managing Active Directory users. So here you have get AD user. Obviously, when you look at the verb, it clearly indicates that this is for getting the details about the Active Directory user, not anything else. For creating a new Active Directory user, you have the command let new AD user. And for removing the Active Directory user or deleting the user, there is no command called delete. That's why this is helping us. The star will show us everything. So for deleting AD user, you have remove AD user. And for updating the properties or for modifying an Active Directory user, the commandlet is set AD user. So this is one way to find the commandlets. Now let's take a look at another way, which will be a two-step process where we will search for the verb and noun. We will search in two parts, but using the single command. So here, as we know, PowerShell commands are following a standard naming convention as verb-noun naming convention. You will have this verb parameter where you can specify the verb that you are looking for. Say for example, if you are looking for getting the details of AD user, you can say the verb I am looking for is get. And noun. In this noun part, you can specify what are you looking for in the noun part of the command. So we were looking for user, and that user keyword might appear anywhere. So I will say star user star. So again, this is giving me another list which might consist of some unwanted results as well. So here again, to filter down, I can specify the module as Active Directory. So, and from this list, it is easy for you to guess that we are not looking for any resultant password policy details. We are looking for Active Directory user. So this is how you can search for the commands using PowerShell. So there are three ways you can search for the commands. Either you can guess it based on your requirements, and it's like a guess. So if you hit, good. If you are not able to find it with your guess, then you can search using the name parameter. And with name parameter, if you know the module name under which you might find it, you can specify the name of the module. Or if you don't know the module name, don't worry, you can still run the command without giving any module name, but it will give you a very big list of commandlets. After looking at that list and looking at the source column, you can find out if you are looking for a specific module for which you want the results. And the third way is using the combination of verb and noun. Let me show you one more thing. How do you find the list of all the verbs which are available in PowerShell? Guess it. Yes, you are correct. It is get verb. It will show you all the verbs which are available in PowerShell. Now this solves half of the problem that you have. Means you don't need to guess for the verbs, because verbs will always be starting with any of these items in the list. Apart from these verbs, the commandlet will not start with any other verb. So this list shows you all the verbs that you want. If you want the commandlets which are there for, which are related to exporting something, you can use the verb as export. It will show you all the commandlets which are available for exporting something from PowerShell. If you want to find the verb related to importing. You can search for import. These are all the commands which are used for importing something from some place to PowerShell. Similarly, if you want to make any kind of conversion, you can say convert star. It will show you all the convert commands. Since I have given star here, it will show me all different commandlets which are for converting from or to any kind of operation. So that is how you can find commands using PowerShell.